It's wildly like weird how there's so many people from Vancouver that live here because we were at dinner on like Friday and he's like, oh my god, I know that person from Vancouver. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, why is there so many people from Vancouver? And when I lived in Vegas, there was hella people that moved there from Vancouver. So that's how I was like, what is up with like Washington?
I think if you go there, you'll find out like why everybody's cutting. Like it's beautiful and stuff, but it's like just like
the weather, the people,
the vibes overall. It's just like not like like you're so rare to catch a vibe that's like, oh, you're out at dinner and it's like nice day. Like that's like once a year. Like you might get that feeling like once. Like you'll see, like it gets hot out there and everybody's outside. Like I was just down there like because it's hot right there. It's hot there right now. Yeah. And so everybody's like gets outside, goes crazy. Like but the thing about it is like 90% of the year you're just under that like.
You're inside.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
What city are you from in Minnesota? What city?
Oh, what city? Like Minneapolis, a suburb of Minneapolis.
Okay. Have you met a lot of people from Minneapolis that live here?
Yeah, there's a ton of people from
Minneapolis. So I feel like it's just, I think
Midwest.
Like everyone from like cold states moves to sunny states, and we just for some reason come across people where we're from. Like I don't know how that happens, but I feel like that's the case.
Well, do a lot of people from? Go ahead.
I think it's because your brain, like since you're from Washington or I'm from Oregon, it's like I see Oregon and Washington plates, and I like notice it.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? But also, like, obviously, there's an insane flood of people. Have you seen the videos on Instagram that are going viral with people that are like, this is Phoenix. They're, like, in the middle of the desert, like, saying, like, don't come here if you're from California, Oregon. It's dry. It's 136. There's no stores, no food. Like,
trying to get people
like, if you're from California, Oregon, Washington, like,
don't move
away. Yeah. Because everybody's coming down here. I was getting my new ID at the DMV or not the DMV. It was, like, one of the, they have, like, the not DMV, DMV. Out here,
that's
and
weird.
I like,
it's nice.
It's like a third party, there's no line.
They charge like fees, but there's no lines. So you're essentially paying $20 extra to save 2 hours of your time. So worth it.
And I like pulled up and I was like, oh yeah, I'm from Washington. And the person at the front of the dude next to me was like a kind of older guy and looked like kind of a farmer guy. And I'm from like a farm town too, out in Portland. So like I'm like that too. But this guy here is I'm from Washington, and he's like. Washington, like, I'm like, what the hell, like bro,
it's because you're covered in tats.
So they be so I don't know. I feel like the vibes of the people there in here are just shows it's kind of completely different.
No, that's true. But I remember when I moved to Nevada, I was like, oh yeah, I'm from California, and they said, don't Californicate our state. I was like, what the fuck? I was like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
But I was kind of naive too because I think I had turned 21 and I was like, this is my first time living alone, and I was like, what the fuck is he talking about? Because I didn't really know adult things. You know,
like what is that? No, exactly. Yeah, you're from Cali then?
I'm actually, I am from Cali. I'm not gonna say I'm from Washington, but I lived in Washington as a kid. So like from 3rd grade to 8th grade, I was there.
So that's how you guys met?
No.
Oh, okay.
That's not how we met. We met through mutual friends.
Yeah. Through friends in Vancouver.
Yeah.
Like mutual friends.
Yeah, we met through mutual friends.
We'll just keep it at that.
Okay, they were on it was a couples trip.
Huh?
You guys, you're couples, the couples.
Oh.
Yeah.
Is that when we first met?
Yes.
No.
How else would we meet? What'd you think? Mutual friends.
No, I know. Yeah, like Stephanie.
Yeah. Well, it was a couples trip. So they were on a couples trip to Vegas, and that's where I lived at the time.
Is that the first time I met you, though?
Yeah.
Oh.
I'm almost positive.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, it was a couple years
ago. No, I think you came to Vancouver and I met you.
But it's been years?
Yeah, it's been years. It's been like 4 years? 3 years? 4 years? Somewhere around there.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
That's cool.
Hell yeah.
But
I like how I've noticed that a lot of the people, and maybe you guys also agree with this because you guys are you from a small town?
Yeah, Oregon City, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
How far is that from Vancouver?
Half hour.
Oh, really? That's it?
To where like I live an hour.
Oh, really?
Like minimum to where I live, but I live in like the sticks.
Yeah, but if you were to take like downtown Vancouver to downtown OC, it'd be like like 30 minutes.
Probably 30 minutes. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's just straight freeway the whole time. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. They're still
out
there.
So what made you want to move to Arizona?
Well, so like I had to move to Miami 2 years ago.
You had to?
Just for business.
I'm not mad at that.
It made business at that point in my life. All I was doing was like just business. Like there was nothing else. Like there was no like I do like music, other stuff now. Like it wasn't like that. I was just like trying to like build all my businesses, and so it was just like, where do I need to go for this? And my business partner was in Miami. Miami, I had our office in Portland, and it was like we got to the point where I didn't need to be at the office, and I needed to be more with him in Miami and like work with him directly. And so I moved down to Miami and was just working with him every day. But I wanted to go to Arizona my whole life because when I was younger, like my first business trip ever, I paid this kid for a mentorship, which ended up like going completely sideways. It's this kid that, yeah.
Is he like kid. Big?
Nah. I mean, yeah. He was big at the time. I mean, you know, he's big still or whatever on social media, but no. He's a YouTube automation guy basically, and I like paid him for a mentorship when I was like 15 or 16.
Wait. Can we say the name and then I'll cut it out? And then it went fucking sideways. So
yeah. So basically then, but it was in Arizona, and the weekend I came down here, he had the penthouse at the West 6. He was living in the penthouse. And so I come down from Oregon City, like first thing, like the reason I paid for the mentorship right away was because he was like $15,000. And it was like, I was 15. Because I made it on Shopify, and I was like, and it was my first bit of money that I made.
Wow.
Yeah, on Shopify. And so I was like, I'm trying to roll this over and like make it into something even bigger. And like, I'm coming from Oregon City, so like I see this kid online and I'm like, oh fuck. Like, so I DM him, what do you do, whatever. And he tells me 15K. I'm like, oh shit, that's like literally all, like almost all I have. Did he do the same exact
thing that you were doing?
No. Yeah, completely different.
So you were doing Shopify and he was doing
a YouTube automation, so like a different type of business. And basically, I wanted to learn it, but then he's like on the phone with me one night. He's like, if you want to do this, let's do it. Like I ain't got the time, you know, like typical sales type of stuff. Yeah. Like I ain't got the time to be messing around. Like you know, I can do this with somebody else. And he's like, if you do this, no. He was older, like 3 years older probably than me. And he's like, if you want to do this, like I'll fly you out tomorrow if you send the money now. And I was like, oh my God, I could tell all my friends like I'm skipping school tomorrow to like go out to Arizona with this guy. And like, I was like lit off that. I was like, all right, like this is, okay, I got to do this. So I sent him, I went to the bank and the bankers were like, what the fuck? Like,
are you under duress?
Yeah. And I was like, why are you wiring this money? Like, I was like, I got to do it. Like I did it. He sent me my plane ticket. I flew out the next morning.
What airline did he fly you in on?
It wasn't a bad one. I know that. I don't think it was like Spirit. I think it was like a good one. I think it was a good one. And and so I flew out here and he had like the penthouse at West 6 and shit. And so I was like, never been in a penthouse, nothing like that. And so I was like, holy fuck, like this shit's crazy as hell. And it just like changed my life. It made me think like, oh damn, like you could really do this shit like on your own and stuff. And even though it didn't work out with him and me, and like it didn't turn out to be, you know, what it was supposed to be, I like really learned so much from that experience. Like I have the date March 28th tattooed on my arm, and that's in Arizona. And so like ever since then, like I've always wanted to move here at some point, just to like live here, because I loved the vibe of that. And so like every time I came down here since then for like just a couple days or whatever, I'd feel like that same vibe. But I moved to Miami, and then I came back from Miami.
How was Miami?
It was cool. It feels like
you?
19.
Oh, okay.
19,
so you weren't even
18,
really
19.
able to go to the clubs or anything.
No, I wasn't 19. No, I turned 21 when I lived in Miami. So I was 20 to 21. So yeah, so I turned 21 in Miami. I had my 21st in Miami. I remember that with Carter. And
that's crazy.
Yeah, but it was like cool. It was cool. It felt like you're living in a resort, you know, all the time. So it feels like that, but it's also not really like I wouldn't really move back there unless until I'd say like 5 years down the road, when all my businesses are fully straight, I have like a friend group, like, you know, like shit like that already established, like just like a good, like, I don't know. I feel like down there it's hard to really get into like a squad that you know is going to be like really pushing you forward, because everybody's already on their own stuff. And so it's like you're not really squatting up. You're kind of like linking up to celebrate, or like linking up to be like, let's network. But there's not really like I feel like growing a team out of there is a little bit tougher than coming somewhere here where there's so many people looking for opportunities, not people who have already found the opportunity and taken advantage of it. But that's also good for certain reasons, because you go down to Miami and you're going to meet people who are billionaires, you know, at lunch. So you're going to hear about investing, doing all this shit. But if you're not doing, you know, $1 billion business yet, then it's not like as applicable. You're not going to hire one of those dudes to be on your team.
Yeah, well, and when you're not that big yet, you're more of like a prey for people to scam you because there is a lot of scammers that live in Miami.
Yeah, and you're trying to just like you're trying to look for people to build a team with, like ultimately like whether that's your the person who is your doctor, the person who's your dentist, or the person who's like your assistant, or the person who's like your sales team or whatever, or like your VA. Like you're trying to build a team in the beginning stages, and so it's like out there like it's definitely hard to build a team, but like beautiful city, I love it. I think it like you wake up every day and you feel like dope. But I love it here because of the people. I love it here because of the people.
That's good
it's like,
that you don't have a negative perception towards the city based off of the experience that you had with that person and you took something good out of it. Because I'm the same way. Like when I was first getting into business, like at 18 or 19, I would go to a ton of networking events. And I don't know if you guys know, there was like this really big group on Instagram. Like they were going fucking crazy. There was like a bunch of influencers at that time, like 𝐿𝐴𝐧𝐧𝐽, like Josh.
Yeah, oh my God. Yeah, 𝐿𝐴𝐧𝐽. Yeah, I know 𝐿𝐴𝐧𝐽. Yeah. He was down here in Arizona, I think, too, for a little bit in one of the penthouses down here.
Jeffrey Bunting or Jeffrey Bunt? Jeff Bunt?
𝐿𝐴𝐧𝐽, that's crazy.
That was his mentor. Jeff Bunt was his mentor. And it was all for like dropping.
Yeah. That's how I know 𝐿𝐴𝐧𝐽 fly.
𝐿𝐴𝐧𝐽 had like all his friends and shit. What happened? There's the one guy, he still does like drop shipping. It's I have him on Instagram. It's like Rich.
𝐿𝐴𝐧𝐽. Yeah, he lived in my buddy's. So when my buddy lived in this building called the Paramount, and he's still my friend to this day. His name's Cameron Howard. He's like the fucking goat. Like he's awesome. He's a G. Like he's straight up like he's badass. Came up on his own, like doing his own shit, like still fucking crushing it. Like nothing but amazing things to say about Cam and like everybody he associates with. And he associates with 𝐿𝐴𝐧𝐽 or like in some way I believe that he like knows him because they live in the same building. And we said what up to him a couple times. But I remember when seeing him when I first came up, like 𝐿𝐴𝐽 and 𝐿𝐴𝐧𝐽 and all those guys, like when I first got into it, was those guys were like killing it. And they're still in it. Yeah. And they're still
I haven't really seen. I actually met him I met him a couple times at the networking events. Yeah. But it's funny because when I lived in Dallas, I had met a bunch of people in my building because it was during the pandemic, and one of the guys lived there. He was from like the same area of me in Sac, so we connected off of that, and he used to talk to one of my friends, which I didn't realize until later on. I was like, my other friend came to visit me, and she's like, didn't you talk to blank? And then he was like, yeah, and then they just all like connected. Yeah. But then he had a friend that would come over all the time. He's from LA. He's best friends with Josh from Jet Set.
Damn.
And then when I was in Vegas, my friend came to visit. He brought him with him, so we actually all went out together. So that was kind of like a full circle moment. That was kind of cool. Yeah. And then obviously there's other people like Peter Voog. You know Peter Voog? You know what I'm talking about?
I probably got to see a picture.
Okay,
I don't know though.
He wasn't as big as he wasn't as popular as like Jet Set.
Yeah.
Fucking like crushing it online and shit like back then. I don't really see them post as much.
Yeah. But they were running it back in the day for sure. Yeah, for sure. And I'm sure they're still doing great. Yeah. No, I like there's a lot of like stuff in this space that like people are like, oh, this person's this or this person's that or this person's that, like that does e-commerce and stuff. But all around, I think like most of the stuff that it does is good. Like, I had bad experiences with like a mentorship personally in the past, right? Where I spent like a lot of money and didn't get at all what it was or anything. But like I know how it is out there. Like it's crazy. But like, I feel like overall, like just like when I was a kid looking at, like I literally found out about it from just searching how to make money online on YouTube when I got my wisdom teeth pulled. And
really?
And it's like whether like, and I watched a lot of kids that now are like on Baller Busters and shit, but like I followed their advice. That? Like, Baller Busters where cause there's like obviously a lot of people that just like scammers out in this industry now. Just exposes people who are like scamming. Yeah. And they've been around forever.
Yeah, they've been around for a long time.
Name one person they've busted.
I mean, a lot.
Name a big
Grant
one.
Cardone.
No fucking way. Grant Cardone isn't bad.
Yes, he is.
No, he isn't.
I mean, okay, so here's kind of what I was going with it. It's like,
did I spell it right? Baller Busters.
Yeah, it's right here. It's this one.
That's 500 followers.
That's the Baller Busters. They're a private page.
Somebody get them wrecked?
You guys are online girls worse than me. They're
damn. Yeah, there's definitely. Yeah,
well, they get taken. They're always come back.
Yeah.
Grant Cardone.
Yeah, because he has a bunch of lawsuits against him for.
But like that, for example, if you ask me somebody who changed my life, Grant Cardone. Like that, like, and what I'm saying that like now I like hear like stuff about him and everything, but like at the end of the day, I think like with anybody like in this industry, anybody who's doing stuff, it's like just putting it out there that it's an option is like, it's like we look at like schools, for example, stuff like that as like not scamming us at all. Mm-hmm. Like they're like not, there's like no way to get scammed by going to school is what we're told. But like there is. Just like there's ways to get scammed online, just like there's ways to get scammed in anything. So like, you know, like a lot of people look at it as like, oh, it's the industry's fault because there's these bad people or whatever, or these people who have negative intent. But really, I don't think that's any different from the negative intent that happens in, you know, every single industry ever. Police, doctors, big pharmacies, like all that shit, you know, it's like everywhere you go, there's going to be that. But they try to expel the whole industry because they don't want kids to try this stuff. They don't want kids to do this stuff. But like if I was going when I was a kid, I just look back to when I was a kid and first researching this shit. If I was like, oh, this person's, you know, a scammer, this person's a scammer, this person's lying, I would have like never tried any of it. And so it's like, I like, you know, it's one of those things where I always tell people like be cautious, but like you also have to just know that, you know, you have to just pull a lesson away from things, even if you do get in a bad situation or whatever. But the fact that you like tried is good, and the fact that it's like it's the same risk you're taking, basically investing into trying to do your own thing, whether it's, you know, business or whatever, versus like going to school, and that's kind of like the point that I was
and when
getting to.
You do try something, like you got to go all in. You can't just like. You can't just barely try and then expect it to work.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's another thing. I feel like a lot of people want people to do it for them, or they get involved in something and expect people to hold their hand, which there's a lot of people.
Yeah, you do.
For sure.
Do you deal with a lot of that?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think anytime, you know, somebody's going through like learning, you have people who like ask the questions and you have people who don't. Like, you don't get what you don't ask for. So I try to never get mad at people for that, you know, but people also try to rely on it, and that's like, that would do them harm if you're like feeding into a reliance on.
It's like they almost become entitled.
Yeah, exactly. Right? Yeah, exactly.
So
yeah.
you have, because he was telling me you have a course, right? Or like a program?
Mm-hmm.
Because I remember, like, because I'm in the Airbnb space, a lot of people have told me, like, you should create a course, like, you should teach people how to do this.
Yeah.
I have a service-based agency, so we just, like, are all about convenience and providing a service to someone opposed to coaching and mentorship. And I tell people all the time, I'm like, this is not coaching.
Yeah.
It's not mentorship.
It's a service.
That's what you're looking for. You can go and you can go to a reputable source that I can recommend. Because I work with masterminds in that space. Yeah. But my question to you is basically, like, how has that been with basically being able to sell information, and how the response has been? Like, who do you see become the most successful out of all your students? Like, is it the people that ask all the questions and expect you to hold their hand, or is it the people that barely ask any questions, barely hop on the call, and like, are just action focused? Yeah,
so like I would say it's mixed, but I would say it's a heavy majority of the people that hop in and they don't ask, like, it depends, because you have two types of question askers. You have the people who ask you questions from Google that Google could answer easy, and then you have the people who ask you questions that Google couldn't answer easy. And so it's like, that's what you're more looking for. Like, it's the person that like will get off a video or like get off the call and try their hardest to figure it out, do all the Google searches trying to figure out the answer, and then once they exhaust all those options, they'll ask the question to somebody who might know it above them. Because I see a lot of people who waste their time just in general, like whether it's a mentorship or just on YouTube, like going and doing asking, I guess, questions that they could literally, you know, find in seconds online, and it's like you're taking the time that you have to interact with that person who you're asking the question from. You're like, there's only a limited amount of time that you get with anybody regardless, no matter how much you want, right? And so it's like, you have to use that in a valuable way, and I feel like the people who understand that always do that. And so when they meet somebody in the future in business, they value their time that way. And I think like just networking and meeting people in general, you have to show them that you value their time. And like, that's just a principle that also, if you value other people's time, that means you value yours. And like, that's going to lead to a successful trait of a business person. And so like, I think that that's more so what it's about, is it's the people who ask the questions that aren't on Safari. And
well, those questions are from experience. They're actually putting in the work. They're coming across like a bottleneck or a problem in their business, and then that's when they ask you. So they're putting in the work to ask the questions.
Exactly. And the other thing I think, though, with that is like, there's a lot of video content out there, and like, that's great and everything. But I think the most important thing people get from educational experiences is the questions that they have to ask to somebody. So it's like, I think one thing too is like, if somebody's going through this and they're just watching videos, like, they're going to waste a lot of time having not had somebody ask questions to. So I think, you know, they shouldn't be scared to ask questions, but they should definitely, like, you know, do as much research as possible first and then ask the questions. Or for example, if you take a course, go through the whole course first and then ask questions. That's another big thing for sure. And that's what's helped me personally going through courses too, because I've done a bunch of online shit for, you know, music, business, everything. So it's like.
So when you're first getting involved in the industry, well, I actually wanted to ask one more question in regards to like selling a course. So would you say that it's the 80-20 rule in regards to like 80% of people really don't end up, not that that is the case with yours, but what I've noticed is like just in life, in anything, it's like the 80-20 rule. Like 80% of people really don't do shit. Like they don't end up becoming like that high success rate or like that crazy story, and then there's 20% that do. Probably less, to be honest. Because
20% do 80% of the revenue. 80%.
Like 20. It's like, but then it's also like the success and then the non-success, however you define that. Because, and the reason I say that is because I was literally watching the ClickFunnels documentary like a couple of weeks ago, and they were talking about like who made it to the 𝐂𝐭𝐚𝐲. And it was like 97 people in the first like couple of years, and then now it's over 2,000, but it's only over 2,000 people. That's what I'm saying. Like they do $200 million a year, and they only have over 2,000 people that have joined the 𝐂𝐭𝐚𝐲. And I'm like, damn, you know. But that'll deter a lot of people. But to me, I was like, shit. I was like, it's definitely going to be hard, but not impossible. Like, I didn't think it was impossible anyway. I thought the number would be way higher.
I mean, I would say, like, the biggest thing that I always tell people, like, one thing that we never done and never, like, will do is, like, you know, say, like, oh, this shit's going to, like, you know, you're going to hop in here and you're going to make a bunch of money, like, tomorrow. Like, it's not like it's never, you know, it's never that, and, like, it never will be. And also, like, I think the main problem is this. People, and this is, like, what we are doing with my program that's kind of a little different, is, like, basically like structuring it in a way that instead of forcing everybody to learn in the same way, it finds what the person is, like who the person is themselves, and then shows them based off who they are, how they should take the program, how they should take the videos, what businesses they should get into. Because what I think the biggest problem is with people like coming in and starting a business or like trying a business, they're like, hey, I want to, you know, make my own money. And then they're like, all right, the only way to do that is to be a business owner. So like, let's go research businesses and try one. They try one and they're like, okay, if I try this specific one, like Shopify, for example, say they're going between Shopify and Amazon. They're like, all right, if I try Shopify or Amazon, one's not gonna, the only difference between the two is seeing if either one works. But in like the risk of trying them or starting them, I'm kind of getting like, kind of trying to explain this the best I can, but basically like you got Shopify and Amazon and somebody's thinking about starting them and they're looking at these as equal opportunities, but in reality that person, the personality type, the way they are, the type of person that they truly are might excel in one of those naturally more than the other one. And if they notice a natural, like they naturally excel in this certain area, for example, like drawing, right? Then they should focus on something that's going to allow them to really encapsulate their drawing in a big way. I think like one thing that I've really learned is like being in your flow state. It's like that state where you feel like you're excited to wake up every day, you're hyped to go, you're ready to go all the time, you know, you're excited to wake up, right? Versus the days where you just want to like continue to lay until 12 or, you know, fucking 5, you know, like it's like, you know, like everybody knows those days, and it's like, or you know, you get up and you still feel like you just want to lay down. And it's like being in your flow state comes from you doing stuff that you naturally excel at and getting really good at it. Because like, for example, Michael Jordan, he wasn't like naturally good at basketball, so then he tried to go be good at all the things he was bad at. He knew he was good at basketball, so he just wanted to be the best at that. And so that's what I'm kind of saying is like, I think people should go around and try little bits of everything to see what they really feel like, this is coming natural to me, and whatever feels natural to you, just go all in on that thing, because that's what you can do specifically better than other people who don't have that natural ability with it already. Because everybody has natural ability for something, right? And so like,
and you'll notice like the people that are the best at what they do in every niche or every category, they literally love it. Like that's what makes it cool too. I forgot who I was listening to. I think it was, I was listening to a Twitch streamer. And they were on one of the podcasts, and they were basically like,
What sketch?
It wasn't sketch. I wasn't watching sketch. I think it was Jinxie. He's like really blowing up right now. You know what I'm talking about?
He's huge.
Yeah, so he's like killing it right now, and he's like, bro, I fucking love it. Like he like fucking loves it. I love this shit. Like I'll be on it like every day. I'm like, damn, you know, like every day. But I think that's what separates like the people that are doing it and still can be successful, but from the people that are like the absolute best, that are known, that are like the anomalies, you know what I mean?
Facts.
But you had talked about how you purchased a lot of courses, and I feel like with how many courses there are nowadays, like a lot of people have like course fatigue, like it feels like everyone has a course, right? So how do you go about finding the best courses, and like do you take a course every time you want to learn something? Like you want to learn about absolute anything, or you're like, I'm going to take a course?
So I learned one thing like really big from my friend Cameron, the one that I was talking about earlier. Yeah. And he always we met because he was a student of mine. So he was working at Starbucks and became a student of mine.
Wow.
And he was like, I didn't have a personal mentorship at the time, but he wanted like a personal one-on-one thing. And I was like, all right, I made like a package for him. Just like, all right, let's do it. Here's what it's going to do. I just like thought of something. It was like, here's what it's going to be.
You didn't have a course, or did you say?
No, I had a course. I just didn't have any one-on-one. Like you couldn't like just work with me directly one-on-one, you know, like it was just like videos. It was like when I really first was like, you know, probably like 2-3 years into like this online stuff. And when I found out about courses because I met one of my buddies named Devon at a car dealership who was my high school friend's brother. And I was like showing him Shopify, and he's like, did you know that you could he's like, do you know what a course is? He's like, you could teach people how to do this in videos. Because I was going to the dealership to teach him how to drop ship. And just cause like a homie hookup, right? Yeah. And I do this with all my friends, so it's like I always was doing that. And then he's like, "Oh, you can make a course," and I was like, "No way!" And he like showed me like Grant Cardone's, and I was like, "Damn!" Like it's videos, like it's like a school almost type shit. This was like a long time ago, so like this was like literally like 7 years ago or more, right? So it's like a minute ago, right? So it was not like what it is now. Like you didn't have all that shit. Like when I started shop, I didn't take any drop shipping courses when I first started. I learned that from just grinding, but that is why it took me so long to like
how long did it take you
to like actually like do. I mean, from when I started in business in general,
when you were 15 years old.
Well, I started like other businesses before that were like semi-successful. Like my lacrosse one was like, successful for my age. I was like in 6th grade, and it was like doing like, couple grand, right? But it was like, that was like a lot in 6th grade, so like it felt like something, and it was still taking all day, every day. And so it felt like I had been doing that. Then I found Shopify, and then I just went really hard at it. Like once my friend introduced it, like I found out about it online from the search. And then my friend Chase has also kind of known about drop shipping. He had mentioned it at school before I even searched it, actually, before I searched like how to make money, but he had mentioned it. And I think that's probably why when I searched it, I clicked on the video. But once I got into that, it was like, I'd say 3 months into 2 months until I got like my first thing, like that was going like pretty good, 2 or 3 months. So it was quick, but not quick if you consider all the other years I had put in to learn like general business knowledge before. That's why I tell people like, oh, don't hop in thinking that you're going to like see this in 3 months. And what I also learned is this, like, although I got my first like women's clothing store that started like doing good in the first couple months, I had like 3 stores in those first 3 months that I was just running through because I was doing this all day, every day. And like, I, wasn't like doing really school and stuff much. Right. And so I was just like trying to do this all day. And so I was getting through shit like crazy, right? I was working like 10-hour days every day. And so like, I always tell people like, it doesn't matter, because also, if you see success in your first 3 months, then there's going to be a downhill. Like there's no way that you're not just going to know how to manage money and be smart and do all this shit when you first get it. So there's going to be a downhill, and you're going to learn all the things that you would have had to learn if you didn't see success yet at that point. So like you could look at every lesson, like if you're broke, it's like, all right, like that's fine, because like I literally like am gonna just use this time to learn all the lessons that I'm gonna have to learn once I have money anyways. So like that's how I always tell people, is like, if you don't see it now, like don't worry, because the person who sees it now is gonna have to go through what you're going through right now, but later on. And it's going to be even worse, because they're going to have felt money and not have it anymore. And like everybody who's actually done business knows that you do not just go, my whole journey through this has been like fucking up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. And like, that's how it is for everybody. And like, people like to say that it's like not like that or whatever, but like it completely is. Like, and you have to be willing to go through that, getting into it. Like you have to be willing to like be broke if you have to, and like figure it out. Right. But it's like, what else? To deal with that. Yeah, but and it's like, I think it's also because most people just don't understand like what it that they have something that's special that they can offer to the world, that like if they pursue that, it's going to make them super happy. Like I think a lot of people just don't find their thing. Like there's a lot of people that you can ask like, what do you do, or what's your like thing outside of work or something, if work's not their passion, and they're like, oh, you know, I watch TV or like whatever. But like all these people in the world have such things that they could be like, they could be the Elon Musk of this. Like I think everybody has something like that in them, that like if they find it, like whether it's singing, this, that, but we're just told our whole lives like that, like, oh, unless you go down these routes, like these other ones are just like luckies, like you just get lucky and like it just happens, like one day you post a video of you singing and you blow up, but like in reality it's not that way, right? And so it's like people think that it's just not a route that's possible, and so they don't do it, and that leads them to like feeling like they're not, just feeling not good about themselves in, you know, outside of work. And so they try to like watch TV or try to do this or try to do that. And like, I'm not saying that, like, I also don't think that everybody should try to be successful or whatever that means to whoever, right? I don't even like to really use that term because it's so like subjective or whatever. Like successful can mean a billion different things, but even if it's just like being like, for example, my mom, she always said like she wanted to be a mom her whole life. And like, I think that's like one of the most important things that somebody could want to be. It's like a mom, right? So it doesn't have to be like, oh, I want to be a business owner, or, oh, you know, like I want to do like music and, you know, clothing and like business and shit. But like certain people want to be a mom, or certain people want to do this. And it's like just finding what you want to be, you know, I think it's so important. Like they don't really tell us how to do that.
So what did Cam say? What was the piece of advice from Cam?
Oh shit. Okay. Damn, I got off on the sidetrack. Yeah, okay.
I'm really
yeah. So he told me that so basically, like, I saw him be my student, and then he was like my most successful student ever. He was my first really successful student. The first time I really was.
What was the story?
Drop shipping. So basically, like, as soon as we started working together, he was like one of my first students as well, like ever. And as soon as we started working together, I just basically had him replicate everything I was doing, like exactly what I was doing and what was working for drop shipping. And he replicated it, and it started working for him. And so then we just started basically like he started doing his thing, I was doing my thing. Then I came to a point where I stopped like helping people doing any mentorships or anything, and he was getting started in like doing that. Like this is years down the road. And so I like kind of helped him like set that up because I had already done that in the past and like kind of known how to set it up the right way. And he obviously like really believed in my method because like he told me like the one thing about you is you like cared about me. And he's like, and that's why like whenever I do something or help people out or anything like that, like I just try to care about them, and like that like really important. And I knew that, and he really liked what I did because it worked for him. And so he was like, hey, kind of help me with the structure and you know, set up, and he set up his own thing as well. And then we ended up later on coming and doing Crystalline together. But like the thing that he taught me biggest was when we were learning, like we've learned a bunch of different things together, like about Shopify, about drop shipping, all about e-com, everything. Like we've helped each other out all the time along like our journeys. And also we've learned about like crypto, all sorts of stuff just from building businesses and like being around each other and both like doing the shit at like the same time. And he was always like he'll find like courses or a program or some way to learn something and just like watch the video and just like get to it instantly and get it done. Where like me, I'll like fumble around trying to like I'll get the idea in my head and I'll like start searching the words on Safari and like looking through all these different files and all these different videos at once, trying to like put a bunch of pieces together online and like not go through one course or not go through like one learning program or not like invest into it sometimes. And it would just screw me. Like I just spend months and years or whatever like trying to go down this path that like I could have just easily walked down had I had like some guidance with it. So like now, like that's the first thing I do. Like if I meet somebody who I'm like, even in person, who I'm like, oh, this person's like just insanely happy, like I'll just try to like be around them and like see if there's like something I could give them for free that like they'll give me mentorship on their thing for. Like it doesn't have to be somebody who has a course even, you know, just like some sort of guidance from an expert who's already done it before. Like how much faster you can like really come up that way. Like it's
so you
crazy.
You would rather pay like 3 times what you would, let's say 10 times.
Yeah.
You would rather pay 10 times what you would to like sit on this, search it, pay like little fees here and there to learn something, opposed to just hiring someone that's done it. You'd be willing to pay 10 times more.
Yeah, if they're going to teach me how to do it. I'm not going to hire somebody to do it for me if it's something I'm trying to learn, because then it's like obviously like
you wouldn't know.
I wouldn't know it. But like if they're like going to teach me, then yeah, because like the thing about it too is like, okay, like, you know, you could look at $1 million or like 100K or like 10K is like 10K. Or you could also look at life instead of looking at it as like financially, like time wise. And it's like the time of my age right now, like for me to take a year right now, cause I'm 23. So for me to take this next year to 24 out of my life, like when I look back at any year past this on my life, I guarantee you I would have, like, if I'm 30, I'm going to be like, oh, I would have spent my whole bank account to be 24 again. So like whatever that number is. Yeah. You know, so like that's like kind of it with me. It's like if you could save the time, if you have the means necessary to do so, and it's going to save you time, and you know your time's valuable. Obviously, if your time's not valuable yet, and you have a lot of it just sitting around, and you don't have a lot of things to do, like then go research it and save yourself the money. But if you have the money to do it, it's a write-off. And it's going to get you there quicker. And so it's like, or it's going to at least show you what not to do quicker if it ends up being something that's not good. And so like, you can learn no matter what the outcome is of it, and you're going to put money into it. So you're going to feel like, shit, I got to do this. Just like another thing. Like, I still feel that to this day. Like I try to do that when I'm starting something new, like just invest in it just so it's like, you have to do that, then you're like, fuck, I got to do this shit,
No, literally. I remember when I was first getting started in Airbnb, and there was no one selling courses except for one person. He was actually on Grant Cardone's Young Hustlers page.
Okay, yeah.
And at the time, like obviously 𝐈𝐺 Lopez was huge. Like he had all these different courses, and like he had the mini courses.
Yeah.
So like it wasn't even really his courses, right? He would like grab gurus from like all these other industries, and he would have them do the course.
Okay.
And he would just promote it.
Oh damn. Okay.
So how big his name was. Yeah. So I ended up like seeing this guy on Young Hustlers, and I was like, damn, like this fucking guy, like. He's the only one selling the course, but I didn't want to pay for the course. Yeah. So I was like, how can I don't know why I was being so fucking cheap. Like, I was making money at the time, too. I was like, I had just started making money, so I was like, I don't want to buy the course, you know what I mean? Yeah. So I was like, okay, well, let me see what I can learn. Because, like I said, this was like the only person, and I really didn't know how legitimate he was. Yeah. So, even though he was on Grant Cardone shit. But anyways, I fucking went to like YouTube, and I started searching him up, and I started looking for like all the help, and he wasn't one of those guys that had like nurtured people through YouTube, like having free videos, free content, things where you could just watch it and get value and get to know him. Yeah. He just had like the course, basically. Mm-hmm. So it's like you really didn't have a relationship with him or get to know him and like him. Mm-hmm. So I ended up coming across like this mini course for $40 fucking from 𝐈𝐺 Lopez's store, or from 𝐈𝐺 Lopez's shop. Yeah. And it was like him and then two other people, and that taught me enough to like rent out the spare bedroom in my Las Vegas apartment. And then from there it was kind of just up. Yeah, hell yeah. But yeah, and there was one other guy. He now has a course which I would have probably bought at the time, but he was giving out so much free games, so much free content in the Airbnb industry. And he still does. Yeah, and he's like, hell yeah. Like would I live by him? No, I don't live by him. I swear by him. I swear by him. He's so good. He's taught me everything I know. And I love people like that. Like, I really would have bought his course. But I've also realized, like, people buy from people they know, like, and trust, obviously. Yeah. But for this other guy, it's kind of full circle because now I work with their mastermind. Like I said, like, everything's so full circle. It's crazy. But he has a huge course. Like, he has tons, like, thousands of students, and he's obviously crushed it. Yeah, I work with them. Yeah, I work with them. So
that's pretty crazy.
I know. Right? I haven't talked to him yet. I've never met him. I only talked to like the CEO.
That's crazy though, damn.
Yeah, but it's like a real full circle.
Are you the only one that does that for them, or is there more?
I'm the only one. I should ask him to sign a non-compete. But I'm the best at it. I work with almost all the masterminds. Like, you look at anyone, any like big Airbnb guru, like, I probably work with them.
How do you only have like 2 employees? I feel like
because we can handle a lot. Okay. We can handle a lot. Yeah. Yeah, and like I said, like. We aren't teaching the students how to do it. We're just providing the deals. And now that we don't have to send like individual deals every day and like talk to students or clients either, we have a site where people can look through all of our deals, so they'll like inquire. And that's why I just hired a second. Like I've never hired an employee for anything. Like I have like my Airbnbs and I have a management team, but I'm not telling them what to do every single day. Like I have someone that does the management for me, and they handle the team. So I just, pay them every month. They do a great job, and we have like quarterly calls and things like that. But then I have my agency where I had one employee. I hired her maybe like 6 months in. I was like, bro, I can't fucking like do everything in the business. So I chose her for like the most time-consuming activity. I've had her for over a year, and then I just hired my second employee who's going to do all the admin work that I do. Clutch. Because not only do I work in the business, but I work on the business, and all I want to do this year is work on the business. Yeah. She's going to be in the business, like handling all the admin tasks, talking with the clients, like, you know, making sure people feel like they're being taken care of, which is like the most important thing to me.
Oh, yeah.
And then from there, it's just sales and growth and marketing. So that's why I had brought up the ClickFunnels thing, because I've always known about ClickFunnels. Like I remember I tried to create funnels when I was first getting into sales, and obviously like I have an idea on it, but I never really like launched a real funnel. Like I have one going right now.
Literally like 30 minutes, like fucking quick, right? A website like selling online products.
You did it in 10.
Yeah, I've done it in 10. Like you can go and like go to any local business like in the area and be like, yo, like, do you have a website? And like, if they don't have a website, like you could just sell them a website for $1,000, right? Or you can like go to like any influencer and be like, do you have merch? And if they don't have merch, you can set up a print on demand merch website for them for $1,000 in one night. Yeah, you could do that for a musician. You could do that for literally anything. So it's like, that's another cool thing about like, even with landing pages, if it's ClickFunnels, if you're learning how to build ClickFunnels, or like all these little skills that you learn inside of like all the businesses that we're in and have done, like those little skills are so like monetizable in themselves too, which is like so sick. I always tell people that, like, that's why it's cool to learn. Like even learning how to use a CRM, it's like you can, you know, then teach somebody in the future that needs help learning a CRM. And like if somebody who you meet in the future needs help with that, and then they know about email marketing, you need help with email marketing, you could value exchange, you know?
Yeah. And that's one of the cool things too about like business is like when you have your service or when you're in your industry and you're crushing it, like with what you're providing or what you're offering, there's so many different avenues that you can go that can build on top of it. Like I remember I used to work at a gym before I started like in sales and everything, and I was a fitness instructor. And I remember it was a small gym, so it was like the owners, you knew them and you worked with them, and they were in there like all the time because like I said, it was like a small mom and pop thing. But basically I had talked to her and I was like, oh, why don't you guys open up like another location, because they were fucking like lit, like they were popping, they were so popular. And she was like, we want to create additional revenue streams and like really maximize our location before we move on to another location. So she's like, we literally have 8 income streams just within this location.
Yeah, like supplements.
Yeah, like supplements, merch,
all that stuff,
like personal training, things like that. Like, and then they have classes, right? And then they have monthly. So it's like they had a bunch of different revenue streams all within that, and that's like the one thing I took away from them. Like if I took away anything from that job, it was that.
Yeah.
And now with my business, like we have different options, like where we have obviously we work with like the different masterminds and like affiliates and stuff, so that's one way besides just referrals and like online marketing and stuff. But then we have like we can get them funding, we can get them like personal management, we work with interior designers and we get fees that way. So it's like really maximizing like your current like business and like what you can do within that, opposed to just like, you know, jumping around to different things, which a lot of people have problem with.
100%.
But I've noticed.
What's your, you can edit this out, what's your monthly revenue?
And was that your first business you started?
This is separate
from my units.
Okay.
Yeah, my own Airbnbs, we do like, I think last year we did like 600K, but I had downsized. It to like 12 units. I think I had, the most I ever had in one year was like 20, and that was like over $1 million. But that was just revenue,
Yeah, wow, that's good.
Yeah, so that was really
but the
obviously we have a shit ton of
like
expenses.
50% on that, isn't it?
50%? Fuck no.
That's crazy.
Per unit, you're trying, like, depending
You're trying
on...
to double the rent, right?
It depends. So, for example, like with an apartment, depending on the number of unit or the number of bedrooms, with an apartment, I'm trying to make anywhere from like $800 to $1,000 profit per unit, per door.
Okay.
And it can vary, obviously, depending on like seasonality. Like for example, in Scottsdale, it's really, really slow during the summer, but you know, in high season, they like crush.
Yeah.
Like with my 5 Scottsdale units, our profit, they want homes.
Yeah.
They want pool homes. They want 4 bedrooms. They want 3 bedrooms. Those are oversaturated. Like there's so many people doing that. I have people come to me all the time in my business and are like, I really want something in Scottsdale. And I'm like, well, if you want a home in Scottsdale, you need to make sure it has a pool, and you need to make sure the rent isn't fucking $5,000. Because these owners know that people are coming wanting to Airbnb, and they're trying to charge out the fucking ass. And then when the slow season hits, they're not going to be making shit. And they're losing money. Like I had one person come to me, they had worked with someone else before me. They had helped them find a property in Scottsdale. They're paying $5,500 per month in rent. I don't even think it came furnished. It doesn't have a pool. And they lost $60,000 so far this year. I'm like, bruh.
That's insane.
Like
how would they move forward?
Damn.
That's like common sense at that point. Should have told you no.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Damn.
Yeah.
So what's the what was like the hardest part of getting started in that?
With which one? The most recent or the arbitrage units?
Like the first thing you did that you saw success with?
Arbitrage, right?
I would say with arbitrage, the hardest thing was just learning the industry. Like when I got started in 2019, there was really no one doing it. Like owners didn't know what Airbnb arbitrage was. Most people thought that Airbnb was just you renting out a spare bedroom in your home or like renting out your home when you weren't there.
That's what it started as.
Yeah. So it's like nobody knew what arbitrage was, and I didn't see anyone really building big businesses off of it. So really initially it was going through all the no's and like it's not even about finding a profitable deal because back then almost anything was profitable.
Yeah.
Literally almost anything. You could fucking go and get something like 10 miles outside the city, like maybe even 20 miles outside the city, fucking slap some furniture in there for $3,000 and then make hella money.
Yeah.
Like that's how it was. So that wasn't the tough part. It was more so just being able to get the yeses and then overall understand contracts.
Yeah.
Because when you get into a lease, if for whatever reason there's issues, like I would say the number one issue that I ran into with landlords when it came to working directly with the landlord opposed to like management companies and apartment buildings. Management companies and apartment buildings are a lot easier to work with because there's so many tenants and they're not fucking breathing down your neck. But sometimes homeowners or investors, they're a lot more like involved or they want to be more involved. And they can be very, how do you say it? Not greedy, but cheap. They can be cheap. Because I would get homes, and sometimes you don't you don't know the maintenance issues until you like start renting it out and having people stay in there. So when we would do that, and we would run into maintenance issues, we'd tell the owner like, "Bro, we literally have a leak. It's your responsibility." No, the fuck, it's not. But then we have to wait for them to fix it, and if they don't fix it, we lose revenue, we lose reviews, we have to block off the home on certain days. So that was probably the biggest problem. That was the hardest thing. So now when now when I'm doing contracts with owners, like directly with investors or owners, I'm like, when it comes to maintenance, if the amount is over this amount, like you have to take care of it, type of thing.
Okay.
And usually I try
it's like a light bulb, it's you.
If it's a light, like minor wear and tear, obviously we take care of, and we have insurance on all of our properties. But with owners, like big things, they need to be able to take care of it, and we usually have like a clause that it has to be within this many days, or something like that. So definitely.
It's only right.
Yeah, for sure. Because I remember I fucking had this shit show of fucking property in Dallas. Because during the pandemic, nobody was picking up units because obviously nobody was really booking. I was like, I'm going to take advantage of this because I know that owners are hurting right now. And also, I feel like one of the reasons why owners can be really cheap is because, think about it, they're doing long-term rentals. Their cash flow is probably like a couple $100 a month. So with a big maintenance issue, especially when we're utilizing the property so much for Airbnb, they're probably like, fuck, like they might be losing money.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, they're going to get money in the long run. But anyways, I had this shit show of fucking 8-unit property in Dallas. There was this owner renting out the entire building. He had just purchased it. I don't think this man understood what he purchased. I don't even know. Like, did he go and view it in person, like, before he fucking bought it? 8 units. It's a small multiplex in Dallas. It was in, like, one of the best areas in Dallas. But it was a little run down. It wasn't, like, really bad, but it was older. And they did a shitty-ass renovation. Like, it was so... Like, they didn't fix the foundation. They just, like, fixed the tile. You know what I mean? Like, they made it look pretty, but it was really ugly.
Yeah.
So
what happens if you open any cabinets in my house?
Really?
Nah, kind of. Depending on what room.
That's hella funny.
But yeah, so we had so many maintenance issues there. Like it was, I have videos of when we had this. It was like one of the winter storms in Dallas. Every single unit flooded. Like the foundation, you could see this like shit like bubbling, like popping. Like it looked like the place was gonna collapse. Like it was so, we had to give everybody refunds. We had to shut down the units for like 30+ days.
That's insane.
Like there was leaks, there was fucking like, it was so bad. And they tried to act like we needed to take care of it. I was like, you're smoking fucking crack. There's no way we're gonna do, no.
Yeah, he's the owner.
Yeah, and I'm like, bro, your insurance is gonna take care of it, my guy. Like, file a fucking claim right now.
You need to hold your hand.
And I'm still dealing with these fucking dicks. Like, I need a fucking dog. Like, I need someone who's not gonna be nice. Like, he doesn't give a fuck. I remember, oh my god, you guys, I have to tell you this funny ass story. So,
Let's hear it.
Have you seen Suits? Have you guys seen Suits at all? The show about the lawyers?
No.
Okay, well, let's watch Suits. Like, this is like real life Harvey Specter, like times 20 million. But my friend, he has this lawyer friend who, like, he works alone. Like, this guy doesn't have a firm. Like, he works alone. He's a fucking dog. And my friend, I had met him that same night, but before we met him, he was like, do you want to hear, like, this email that he sent this big executive who was beating on his wife? And I was like, yeah, what does the email say? He sent this guy. He's taken this guy's wife has taken him to court for basically abusing her, and she hired him to defend her.
That's the one dude.
The one dude to defend her against this. Like when I tell you guys, like think of a big executive. Like you may know the company, you may not. This company is huge. Like this company is so big. Please be apprised that I am now representing blank with respect to the restraining order request application against you. The restraining order will be issued. I do not lose. For whatever reason, you felt it prudent to talk shit to her previous attorney, which is blank, because she had hired a firm previously, and this guy basically was sent to the firm. He's like, do you know who the fuck I am? Like, I'll get you guys all disbarred, basically is what this guy said to these lawyers. So this guy says to the exec, he's like, I do not lose. For whatever reason, you felt it prudent to talk shit to her previous attorney, blank. You will, and trust me, you will apologize to Mr. Blank for that imprudent act. I walked out of the meeting earlier today because your conduct was so retarded.
He said that?
Yes! I'm reading it word for word. He said, you definitely seem to be a little cuck bitch, and if you want to taste my 9 inches, you can ask politely.
Holy.
A lawyer said this?
Yes! He said, that being now, wait, he said, that being said, as of now, you will refrain from continuing to violate the restraining order and you will keep your bitch mouth shut, period. You should retain counsel, wait, no.
This is crazy.
Yeah.
He said, I know, I was like, I love this guy.
This dude doesn't lose after talking like
He's
this?
never lost the case.
That's insane.
He said, you should retain counsel, but actually it won't even matter.
Oh my god, this guy, that's crazy.
He's never lost. He's been reported to the bar like 8 fucking times, and he's like, he always like just justifies it's his First Amendment or whatever.
That's insane.
Yeah.
It's like
freedom of speech?
Yeah.
About the email? That's insane.
That's crazy.
That's fucking dog.
Yeah, that's
so
fucking awesome.
If I was a lawyer representing me, it's not him.
Yeah,
because
yeah.
he's in California. The other guy's in Texas, but yeah, I was like, I want him.
Oh yeah.
Sure. But yeah. It's been fun.
Yeah, hell yeah, that was lit.
Part 2 one of these days.
Yeah, hell yeah, hell yeah, hell
Do
yeah.
part 2 with like more like we have to like get some questions for each other.
Yeah.
So we can actually like follow a guideline rather than like going on.
Yeah, hell yeah,
random
hell yeah.
That
That was
was
good
good,
freestyle
though.
though. Yeah, that was a
Really
fire
good.
freestyle though.
That
was a
was
fire
great.
freestyle.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely got clips from that.
Calm down before you stress up the groove. The energy a little different when the blessings accrue. Hey, who you talking to? Just know I ain't no regular fool. Could be anything in the world, but I can never be you because I stand tall like I'm on my tiptoes. Baby, you think a little too small. I got big goals.